Hi guys, how are you doing today? Welcome back to Random Lifestyle Vlog. If you're new here, my name is Paulina. This channel is all about beauty. That includes skincare, fragrances and makeup. Today we're going to talk about makeup and I'll finally be testing this Natasha Denona Hyper Natural Face Palette. And I'm not going to lie, I've had this palette for a while, but for some reason I just couldn't really force myself to film it. I think I was a little bit afraid that I would be a bit disappointed with it, and I kind of didn't really want to go there. I kind of did not want to film this very negative video, which I kind of expected, but the time has finally come, so let's talk about this palette. So as you can see, this is Natasha Denona Hyper Natural Face Palette, no makeup, eye and cheek essential. This is what it looks like. This is what the packaging looks like, and this is the palette inside. So without further ado, let's see how it went. Alright, so let's give it a proper go. As you can see, we have 3 of those bronze and contour shades. We have 2 blush shades over here, and then we have 5 eyeshadows. So we're obviously going to test this palette as much as we can, but let's do some swatches first. Okay, so first up, bronzers and blushes. So these are the 2 blushes, and here we have all 3 of bronzer shades. So let's swatch the eyeshadows now. So this is Everyday. Ooh, that is a really beautiful swatch, isn't it? Then we have Dreamy and Statement. Now we have Soft and Casual. So there you go, here we have all the eyeshadows swatched, and I have to admit the pigmentation here is actually pretty impressive. Okay, so let's go ahead and try everything out. I'm going to start with my eyes. So when it comes to the eyeshadows, it says here, Hyper Silk Eyeshadows. Use a dense eyeshadow brush or a finger to glide the shade across the eyelid and blend into the crease. Wear one eyeshadow by mood occasion for a mono look, or combine for more dimension. I'm not going to go for a mono look today because I want to try as many of these shades as possible, possibly even all of them. So let's just go ahead and play with these shades. I'm going to start with this shade over here, which is Dreamy. This is how it's swatched. I think this shade would make perfect sense as a mono look, but I'm going to apply it on this kind of like a moving part of my eyelid. And as recommended, I'm using my fingertip for that. And this is what it looks like. I think this is like a really nice, everyday, effortless look. Normally, if I wanted to go for like a mono look, I would apply this eyeshadow a little bit higher. I do have partially hooded eyes, so I always make sure to apply my eyeshadow a little bit higher so that it's visible. But since today I'm actually planning to add some more shades to that, I'm going to leave it like that. Okay, now we're moving on to this shade over here, which is Everyday, and I'm going to use a dense brush this time. Let's see how it applies with a brush. I'm going to apply this shade in my outer corner. And I'm just going to drag this along my crease here. So you can definitely apply these eyeshadows with a brush, that will work too. But if you want to get maximum payoff, I think it's best to apply these with your fingertip. Okay, so far so good. Now I'm going to move on to this shade over here, the middle one. And this one is called Statement. And I'm just going to try and apply a little bit more of that shade in my outer corner. And to be honest, this seems to be like a very easy kind of everyday palette. Everything blends really nicely. You don't really have to overthink it. Very simple, nice shades, nice blending. So far so good. I'm going to use the same shade on my lower lash line. And then I'm going to use some more of this Everyday shade to blend my lower lash line a little bit more. And then back to this shade over here, which is Dreamy, and I'm just going to apply a little bit of that in my inner corner. Okay, that was quick and very simple. Since this is supposed to be no makeup kind of look, I'm only going to apply mascara. Okay, a very simple eye makeup look, number 1. So this time we're going to start with this shade over here, which is Soft, and then again I'm going to apply it with my fingertip. So yeah, that actually looks pretty nice. I can see how this would make this perfect monochromatic eye look, but for the sake of this video I'm going to add one more color, which is this one over here, Casual. This is how it's swatched. I don't know if you can see that, but it definitely has some like a purplish pinkish kind of hues. So again, I'm going to use a brush this time, and I'm going to apply this shade in my outer corner, and I'm going to apply this in my crease as well, and the same thing with my lower lash line. And then I'm going to use more of this Soft shade to blend my lower lash line and add a little bit in my inner corner. Okay, again, simple, quick, and let's add some mascara. And there you go, I managed to test all of these shades. So I used these 2 shades on my left eye and these 3 on my right eye. Okay, so let's move on to bronzers and blushes. So when it comes to contour and bronzer, it says here, with a face brush, apply individually to contour highlight based on your skin tone. or blend shades together and buff onto cheekbones, temples, jawline and nose. So these are our bronzer shades, and it is said that you can apply them individually, and I kind of see how these can make like a nice contour or highlight shade depending on your skin tone. But the only problem I have is that it might be a little bit difficult to apply them individually. So you really have to have like a really precise brush to be able to use them separately. And when you have a little bit closer look at these shades, these two darkest ones, they do seem quite warm toned. So because of that warmth, I think these shades will make a really nice bronzer, but maybe not necessarily a really nice contour shade. So that's how I'm going to use it. Also, if you think about it, this is supposed to be a very naturally looking palette, like no makeup look. So in that situation, bronzer makes more sense than like a precise contouring. So let's just blend these shades together. And I'm going to apply where I would usually apply my bronzer. So I'm just going to apply it on my cheekbone here, on my temple, and along my jawline as well. And then I'm going to take a clean brush and blend everything out nicely. Okay, so that is definitely giving me a very natural look. Okay, let's go ahead and play with the blushes now. So what it says here is, with a blush brush, apply to the apples of the cheeks in circular motions, blending upwards onto the cheekbones. Wear shades separately or diffuse a darker shade with a lighter shade for an airbrushed finish. Okay, so it is suggested to apply it like on the apples of your cheeks, which I pretty much never do that. Even though I'm Polish, I don't really have those like typical Slavic features with kind of like quite prominent cheekbones. My face is a little bit more flat, so I think there are other ways of applying blush that suits my face shape a little bit better. So I tend to apply my blush here and kind of like drag it like upwards here. That's going to be my go-to blush placement. So I'm going to take this deeper blush and I'm going to do just that. And I'm just dragging it towards my temple. So for this kind of like everyday makeup look, when I'm in a rush, this is what I would normally do. But sometimes I feel like playing with my blush a little bit more. So what I would normally do, I would just take this lighter shade here and then just like continue with the shade going down. So this is how I would apply it. And I'm going to take a little bit more of this lighter shade and I'm just going to blend it here as well, so that we have this gradient. So this is what it looks like, and I don't know if you've noticed, but this is kind of like contouring my face a little bit too. So whenever I would apply my blush like that, I would skip contouring, and probably I would skip bronzer too, because this is giving me this kind of like a fresh blushed look. Whereas on this side of my face, you can see how just the bronzer looks like. Okay, so after filming this video, I will have to go out. So just for the sake of that, I'm going to even things out here. So I'm just going to apply some bronzer here, which is not something I would normally do. I think this actually looks all right without the bronzer. And I'm just going to apply some blush here, and I'll be right back with my final thoughts. Okay, final thoughts. I have to be honest, guys, it took me a while to review this palette. I was really stressed as to whether I would like it or not. A couple months ago, I did the review of those two Huda Beauty Cream Obsessions palettes, and I was like super excited to test them out. And the kind of like creamy formula did not really work as well as I wanted. I mean, don't get me wrong, the shades were beautiful and I do use these palettes, but there are some issues, and I'm not going to lie, I don't think they're like that much worth the money. So I was afraid I would be disappointed with this palette as well. But to be honest, I do think it's actually pretty good. So obviously this is a very no makeup look palette. You're not going to be able to create any like fancy makeup look with it, but if you want something quick, this palette is great to work with. The eyeshadows are very pretty. Every single one of these shades would work perfectly as a single eyeshadow if you want to go for this mono look, but if you want to create something a little bit more multi-dimensional, you can easily do that with these shades. Again, that's not going to be super intricate or super fancy, but if your aim is to have this effortless everyday makeup look, then this is definitely what you're going to get. When it comes to the bronzers and the blushes, they are pretty, they are very flattering on my skin tone. I'm not too sure though how these bronzers would actually look on a deeper skin tone. To be honest, I can't really see myself wearing these bronzers when my skin gets some tan. All I can say is that it looks pretty good now, but it's like a very natural look that I'm getting with this. As for the blushes, again, really nice, kind of like flattering shades. This darker shade is actually quite pigmented. I think this definitely will be visible in like deeper skin tones as well. So what can I say to finish this off? I'll definitely be using this palette for this kind of like quick everyday makeup, which is my favorite type of makeup for like everyday situation. I think these eyeshadows are actually really pretty and anyone could use them. I'm a little bit concerned about this kind of like face bit of this palette. I think this is more suitable for like lighter skin tones. I haven't really watched many reviews of this palette because I really wanted to form like my own opinion based solely on my experience, but I'm really curious how this palette actually worked on people with a little bit deeper skin tone than mine. Anyways, I kind of expected a little bit to be disappointed with this palette, which I'm not. I quite like it. I'm not sure if this is necessarily worth the money. I also have some concerns about the inclusivity of some of these shades, but for me personally, this is probably going to be quite a usable palette. What do you guys think? Have you tried this palette? If so, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you very much for watching. For more makeup related videos, check these ones over here. I'm going to see you very soon. Take care. Bye!